Hi, welcome to the Contra Costa County and Tri-Valley Elder Care channel. My name is Stephanie. I'm the Marketing Director for Horizon Elder Law, as well as today's host for the Elder Care channel. Today I'm here talking with Lynn Whelan. She's a physical therapist here in Contra Costa County. Lynn provides in-home physical therapy to her clients here in the East Bay area and is highly respected in the community. Lynn, can you tell our viewers a little bit about yourself and how you got involved with doing physical therapy?
Sure. I've been a physical therapist for many years and worked in an outpatient clinic for most of my career. And then my mother moved to Rossmore in Walnut Creek when she was about 80, and I was the primary caregiver, shall we say, for her through her aging years.
Mm-hmm.
And during that time, I really saw what she needed to deal with as driving became difficult, and then as she ultimately wasn't able to drive. And I was very cognizant of what services were provided for her and what things were very difficult for her to access.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things, being a physical therapist, I looked at was how was healthcare making itself available to her as a non-driver or as someone who found driving difficult. And I realized that once home health comes to one's home, if they're even coming, which, there are certain stipulations around home health care when they can come to one's home and when they cannot. And once they're not there, which may be only for a few weeks that they're able to be there, then a person has to find transportation to get to any kind of rehab.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, this is a need in our community, and I'm going to fill it. So that's about 3 years ago. I started to do this kind of work in the home, and it's been very, very satisfying work, and I also feel like it's really filled a need that's out there.
That's great. So what actual services do you provide?
So it's specific to physical therapy, otherwise known as physical rehabilitation.
Mm-hmm.
I treat any number of conditions, but I'd say one of the most important things I do is go into the home and check it for safety.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first thing I do when I'm there, besides assessing the person's physical condition and determining whether physical therapy is appropriate and deciding on the plan of care that I will do with them. I'm looking at everything in their home to see what I can do to make their fall risk diminish, make them safer in their own home or in whatever facility they happen to be in. It might be an assisted living facility, it could be a board and care, but that's really a primary goal. And if I see things that need to change, I'll discuss it with them and with their family. I'll bring in providers, contractors perhaps, who might install a grab bar or whatever durable medical equipment they might need in order to be safer.
Mm-hmm.
That's a primary goal of mine. Then beyond that, it's to look at what their physical needs are. Do they need strengthening? Do they need balance work? Do they have pain? Is that a primary issue? So my focus will be on whatever I find at the initial evaluation. I may treat an orthopedic condition. I may be sent to see them for a pain in their shoulder, limitation in their shoulder, low back pain. I see a lot of foot patients who've had surgery on their foot and have difficulty driving because of the boot that they're wearing.
Mm-hmm.
So I might see a post-op patient. I'll see many, many patients, though, whose primary issues are weakness and balance problems. And they need conditioning, and they need someone to come in, look at what they need to do in their own home in order to, say, get to the garbage pail that's out and down 5 stairs, or how they get in and out of the shower,
Mm-hmm.
how they get on and off the toilet, in and out of bed, all those regular activities of daily living.
Mm-hmm.
I'm able to really address in their home. So it's very, very functionally oriented physical therapy.
That's great. How does your service compare to going to an outpatient clinic?
Well, probably in a few ways. One is obvious. One is that the patient doesn't have to deal with getting there.
Right.
Most physical therapy is provided to a patient at least twice a week. So for someone to go to an outpatient clinic requires them to have transportation at least twice a week.
Mm-hmm.
It can be costly, it can be time consuming, it can be reliant on them having a good deal of energy in order to do that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Then the other thing that's different is that I'm very geared toward what they need to do in their own life in their home. It's really difficult in an outpatient clinic to know what somebody's real life is like.
Right.
And so that's a lot of the focus that I have that you can't have in an outpatient clinic.
Absolutely.
Now, the other difference that is in favor of an outpatient clinic is that they have much, much more equipment. I do come in with ultrasound, electrical stimulation, I have exercise bands, I'm able to provide someone with balance training with appropriate equipment that I bring with me. But certainly there's much, much more equipment in an outpatient clinic. So if I have a patient that at some point I feel they need that level of care, then I will discharge them from my care and get them set up for an outpatient clinic.
Oh, that's excellent. So how much does this cost for you to come to their home? Do you take insurance?
I do. I'm a Medicare provider, certified by Medicare and by Blue Cross and Blue Shield, so I can take any of the Medicare PPO plans. That, of course, doesn't include Kaiser or some of the HMO plans like Medicare Advantage and Scan. I'm not able to be a provider for those plans, but for your regular straight Medicare PPO plans and any of the secondary insurances that folks might have, I can take those patients and totally bill their insurance for my services. And Blue Cross and Blue Shield, I can do the same. I'm able to bill patients privately as well, but I have to charge them the same rates that anyone who's a Medicare patient is paying. So they're not paying any more if they're a private care patient.
That's great. Now, do you have a fee for travel time or anything like that?
Absolutely not. My travel costs and travel time are all handled by me. That's not something that is billed to anyone's insurance, and it's not something that the patient has to pay for.
Great. So what's the geographic area that you cover?
I cover a large part of central Contra Costa County. So that includes Moraga, Orinda, Lafayette, Walnut Creek, Alamo, Pleasant Hill, and Concord.
Great.
So it's a fairly broad area.
It is. Absolutely.
A lot of my time is then spent traveling, so I have to limit my geographic area because of that.
Absolutely. If patients have memory issues, would they still be appropriate for your services?
Yes, many of my patients do have memory issues, anywhere from just mild cognitive dysfunction, as we say, to much, much more severe. And the way that they benefit the most from my services is if they have a caregiver. Even if the caregiver is not 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even if the caregiver is very part-time, as long as I know there's someone that I can train to do the home exercise program that I give them. Because I want to make sure that patients have the kind of program that they can do when I'm not there. And when I've long since discharged them, it's real important for them to continue to be able to do exercises. So I'll train that caregiver. That way their memory issues won't be a problem.
Oh, that's excellent. So when you discharge a patient, is there any follow-up that you recommend, anything like that?
There are some cases in which a patient or their family wants me to then come back in a month or two to check on the patient, see whether their condition has deteriorated or improved. And in either of those cases, I would be changing their home program, or maybe they have a new caregiver, in which case they need new training. So I might go back for those kinds of reasons. Or if a person has had another fall and they have a need for me to look at a different body part, I will go back and do that. But I'll always make sure a patient has a home exercise program with every single patient I see, so that there's ongoing rehab going on even when I'm not there. And then there are a few personal trainers that I think highly of, and in some cases I'll recommend to the patient or their family that they contact a personal trainer after I've left, and then they come in maybe once a week to continue to work with the patient.
Well, great. So do your patients or family members need to get any kind of doctor's recommendation?
Luckily they do not, because that can be a hassle, and family members have enough to do taking care of their mother or father or grandmother or grandfather. All I need is a call from either the patient or the family member. I certainly accept calls from doctors, but many times the family member or the patient themselves will call me and ask me if I can come in and see their family member and evaluate them for physical therapy. I can do that without a doctor's order, and it's covered by insurance. And at the time of the evaluation, I then develop a plan of care. I fax that to your doctor, and the doctor then signs off on it 100% of the time. I've never had a doctor not sign off. And then we're set to go. And then with that plan of care, I know that I'm at liberty to treat this patient, and the insurance will cover it because they honor that plan of care.
Well, that's great. So how would somebody know, let's say an adult child, how would they know that mom or dad needs physical therapy?
That's a really good question, and very many family members, maybe they're wondering whether their family member could get better. And so they just have a general feeling of, I'm wondering if there's anything you could do to help. It's real general. Other times they'll say, they're falling and I need to see if we can do something to reduce these falls. Other times they'll just call and they'll say, I have no idea what you really do, but I'm wondering if my mother or father or whoever might benefit from your services. Could you tell me more about what you do? And together can we decide whether you might be able to be of assistance? In which case I'll spend time with them on the phone, I'll spend time with even the patient on the phone before I ever see them sometimes. And then I'll go into their house, and once I evaluate them, I'll have an even clearer picture. Certainly there are times when I'll go into a house, I'll evaluate the situation and decide that this isn't a situation in which the patient is going to benefit from my services. And if that's the case, I'm completely upfront and honest about that, and I'll say, the insurance is not going to cover this because this is not a case that rehabilitation is appropriate for. And if that's the case, then I just give them some suggestions. I make that one visit and make my recommendations, and then I leave. But in the vast majority of cases, some amount of rehabilitation is appropriate and useful. I may see them 6 visits, I may see them 10 visits. In some rare cases, I'll be on board longer than 10 visits. But I'm very, very conscious about what insurance will pay for and what they won't. And I never want to go beyond when insurance will cover these services, so that I don't want to leave the patient in a situation where they have a bill that they didn't expect.
Well, that's fantastic. Thank you so much.
Yes, you're welcome.
Is there anything else that you'd like to share?
I think we've covered everything. I just want to emphasize that even if a patient is still driving and is able to get to an outpatient clinic, I can still see them. They don't have to be homebound. This is covered under Part B of Medicare. And so that's the same coverage that covers outpatient physical therapy. So it isn't as if someone absolutely has to have someone come into their home in order for me to go there. I can come regardless of whether they're still driving or not.
Great. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for sharing.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity.
If you would like more information for yourself or a loved one, you can find all of Lynn's information on the Elder Care channel, including a link to her website as well as her phone number, or you can contact her directly at 925-930-8749. Thank you for watching. We hope you have a wonderful day.